Hi there, welcome back to the channel. This is the second video in the material ledger and the actual costing series. And in the previous video, we understood very basic about what is a material ledger and why do we need it, and what is actual costing and what is the actual need of the actual costing. In this continuation video, we will start with the basic concepts and also the configuration. Those are required in order to set up the actual costing, which includes right from the setup of ledgers, the currency types, valuation views, the material ledger setup, and slowly we'll progress onto the product costing, how it is impacted by the material ledger or the different valuation types or currency types, and we will ultimately move to the actual costing. This is a huge series, as I said. So in this video, we will understand about the different currency types and the valuation types or the valuation views and how those are linked with the material ledger and the S4HANA setup. So before we go into the video, do not forget to like it, share the video if you are finding those useful, and please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. That will actually help us to create many more videos like this. And if you are really interested in contributing for our work, you can join the channel. You can become a super member or a premium member and get some perks like coupon codes whenever you purchase any course from us directly, or you can get some member exclusive videos if you are a premium member of the channel. If you want to do a one-time subscription, then you can click on the super thanks button below the video. That will help to create videos like this. And let's go into the video. So in the previous video, we understood about the material ledger and the need of actual costing in the today's business world. So as we are starting with the configurations, let us first understand what are different currency types and what are different valuation types or the valuation views and how these impact the material ledger setup in S4HANA. So we have different currency types. We know that even ECC, we had a lot of currency types, which is like a document currency or company code currency, controlling currency, etc. So this is the full list of currency types that we have. I think it would not be right to say the full list, but these are the major currency types that are supported in SAP. Do not get confused currency types with the currencies. Currency types are the type of currencies which will actually store the currencies. When I mean currency, it is going to be a currency like INR or a US dollar or a euro. But currency types are the placeholders for these currencies. When we are doing a transaction, we can do a transaction in any currency, and later on, we might want to convert that currency into another currency. So these different currencies, what I'm talking, are maybe like INR. If I'm posting something in INR and want to later on convert it into US dollar, I should have some name for the INR and the US dollar currencies, right? So that I can call it as maybe the INR is the transaction currency and US dollar is the company code currency. So these are the currency types or the naming that we are giving to the currency or how that currency is actually related to the business. So these are different currency types that we have. We have document currency, which is always represented with 00, which is also called as the transaction currency. And the company code currency is 10. The controlling area currency, which comes from the controlling area that is assigned to the company code, which is 20. And we have group currency. And group currency is usually the currency that we have for the entire client. When we are having a SAP client, the group currency is defined at the client level, and this is defined in the transaction code SCC4. So how or why do we need to have a company code currency or a controlling area currency and also a group currency? Company code currency, it is very much straightforward by the definition. Company code currency is the currency in which that company code is residing in, the country in which that company code is residing in. For example, I'm having a organization which is placed out of India, then that should have a currency or a company code currency as INR. And if the company is based out of a different country, for example, the US, then it should have US dollar as the company code currency. So company code currency is always legally bound by the local regulations or the country in which that company is placed in. Now, the controlling area currency is something above the company code currency. If we have more than one company code in our organization, we always want to have the management reporting done at a particular currency, which usually will be the currency of the company headquarters so that the group reporting can be done at the controlling area level. So that currency is called as a controlling area currency. And this one we will configure it when we are creating the controlling area definition. Now, the controlling area currency can be same as a company code currency if we have a one-to-one mapping between the company code and the controlling area, or if there are more than one company codes under a single controlling area, then we can have a separate currency which is not same as the company code currency. So company codes can have INR, US dollar, euro, etc. But the controlling area currency can be anything. It can be maybe a Swiss franc, or it can be a Japanese yen, or it can be anything. So controlling area currency need not be the same as company code currency. Now, what is the purpose of a group currency? We said that group currency is something that is defined at a client level. The group currency is typically also same as the controlling area currency. We usually define the group currency same as the currency in which we want to do the group reporting. When I mean group reporting, that means a reporting of all the company codes consolidated at a group company level or a headquarter level. So wherever the headquarters are located, that country's currency is typically created as a group currency, and that group currency is also something that we use same as the controlling area currency, because whenever we are doing a controlling or a management reporting, we usually want that to be in the group currency. So the recommended approach is to have the same currency. For example, if your group currency is US dollar, create your controlling area currency or assign the controlling area currency also as the US dollar. Now, the hard currencies and the index based currencies. These currencies, the 40 and 50s, these are typically used in those countries where there is a huge inflation. When their local currency, for example, the Indonesian rupiah, which is not a stable currency, or Venezuelan currencies. So there are certain countries which are having a high inflation and their currency is not stable when compared to a stable currency like a US dollar. So those countries, if they start reporting everything in their company code currency or a local currency, the values keep on changing when they want to translate those into a different currency. For example, if you're having an organization which is a US organization, but it also has a branch in, for example, Indonesia. So all the transactions reported in the Indonesian rupiah or the IDR should obviously be converted to the US dollar. So every day, because of a huge fluctuations in the currency rates, whatever has reported yesterday might not be relevant as of today. So in those countries, they make use of these two currencies, 40 and 50. So instead of recording the transaction in the local currency, they will record it in hard currency or an index-based currency, which is much stable compared to the company code currency. Now, the hard currency is defined in the transaction OY01, and the index-based currency is also defined in OY01. So why do we need to? We have an option of having more than one currency type for the countries which are having high inflation. That's it. Now, what is a global company currency? The global company currency is something that we assign to the company definition. When we are defining a company, which is also called as a trading partner in SAP, under the enterprise structure in SPRO, that currency that we assign to the company is called as a global company currency. It makes sense to have same currency assigned to company code currency type, the controlling area currency type, the group currency type, and the global company currency type, because we always want to have reporting in one currency at the management level. So that makes more sense to have same currency type, the same currency assigned to these three currency types. Now, the last one is the controlling object currency. In the controlling module, we have a controlling area currency. So any transaction that is performed in the controlling area is usually recorded in the controlling area currency. But SAP also provides us an option to define one more currency type for a specific controlling object. For example, within the controlling area, if you want a separate currency for all the transactions recorded onto the cost centers or profit centers, or maybe both, then you can have a separate currency type under a controlling area currency specific to cost centers or profit centers. The remaining transactions performed within that controlling area will follow the controlling area currency, but any transaction performed on cost centers or maybe WBS, or it can be any cost object for that matter, can have a different controlling object currency. That gives us the flexibility to define transactions in more than one currency within controlling itself. But please do note that having more currencies always leads to more reconciliation efforts also. So it is always wise to choose how many currency types that we actually need. Now let us go back to the system and see where these currency types are actually defined. So the first currency type that we saw is the document currency. Obviously, document currency or the transaction currency is not something that we define in the configuration, but that is the currency which is entered in the transaction. For example, if I am going to the transaction code FB60 to post a vendor invoice, and whatever currency that is assigned here, that is going to be the document currency for that document. We'll see the other ones. First one is the company code currency. So under the enterprise structure, when we are defining the company code, we assign a currency for that. For example, I have a company code ML10, and here I have defined euro as my company code currency. So this is the company code currency, which is type 10, that is assigned to my company code. I have defined a controlling area, which is ACML. And if I double click this, I can see a currency assigned here. So I can have a different currency under controlling area, or I can have a same currency as that of my company code. So it all depends on whether the mapping between the controlling area and the company code is 1:1 or 1:n. That means multiple company codes are falling under the same controlling area, or only one company code is falling under one controlling area. So if I select the same company code, then I can always choose only company code currency. But if I have a cross company code cost accounting, then I will have multiple options from which I can choose. I can have a separate currency than the company code currency. In that case, I will select as 20. If not, I'll select it as 10, because most of the cases I want to have same currency type or the same currency that is assigned to the company code currency type also as the controlling area currency type. So this is the controlling area currency. Now, the group currency is something we discussed. We will assign it at a client level. So for that, we'll go to SCC4, which is the client definition. And for this client, we have US dollars as the group currency. So once you define this, it is not recommended to change the currency if you're already having the company codes created under this or transactions posted under the client, because that will lead to some redundancies for already created data. For example, you have created your material ledger and you have assigned this currency type as a group currency type to your material ledger. And later on, if someone has changed this currency under this currency type, then you will no longer be able to post any material transaction on that material ledger, or for that matter, you will not be even able to display the accounting and the costing views of the material which are defined under that material ledger. So it has a huge impact. Again, you need to revert this in order to be able to make use of your material ledger. So decide what needs to be the currency under the group currency, and once you define it, better not change it. The remaining ones are the hard currencies and the index-based currencies. Those are defined under OY01 transaction. So for every country, you can define what can be the hard currency and the index-based currency. Again, these are not mandatory to define, but yeah, if you need it, you can define it here. So these can be changed. It does not make much sense, but again, changing it once the transaction data are available is not something that is recommended. So these are the 40 and 50 currencies. And then we have a global company currency. So the global company currency, we have defined the company here. I have defined the company as ACML. And here you have a currency that is assigned to the company, and this is the global company currency. Typically, this currency is not something that you translate or use in most of the cases. This is something that you assign it at a company level, and most of the cases you ultimately make use of a transaction currency or a company code currency, etc. Now, the controlling object currency, that is something that you can see under the controlling, under profit center accounting. For example, if you want to see the controlling object currency for profit centers, directly we can go to the controlling area settings for that profit center accounting. And here you can define what currency type are we actually making use of. If you want to have a controlling area currency, then we can select as 20. But if you want to have a separate currency type for the profit centers alone, then you need to use profit center currency. So this profit center currency can be different. You can enter a different currency here if you are selecting something different than 20. So that is going to be the controlling object currency, which can be the same or even different than the controlling area currency. So these are the different currency types that we saw. So see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Do not forget to like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet.